All right. Welcome back to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And today we've got a wonderful guest, a repeat guest, somebody that had such a wonderful response from our audience the last time he was on the show. Welcome back to the show, Jason Daniels. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Adam, thanks again for having me. And like you said, a repeat guest. So hopefully I can provide some more value for everyone out there watching. Always a pleasure.
Well, I think it's funny because when we talk about that, when we talk about a lot of things at JTT that aren't really what I would call cutting edge or revolutionary or anything to that effect, it's just that a lot of people know what they should be doing and aren't doing it, or need a little reminder of how to do it in a more modern space, or maybe they just need a kick in the ass and yeah, I know I should be doing that. And when they hear me or Jen or anybody else involved with JTT say these things over and over and over, it kind of becomes like parent and child, right? And we all know that our parents told us shit that we completely ignored, never paid any attention to. But if it was another adult or another authority figure that told us the exact same thing, we actually heard it. We actually listened to it. So I think that there's a lot of that. So really, when it comes to our guests, and certainly our repeat guests, it's that we kind of think along the same lines. We really have some deep rooted ideas of how to do things in the lead gen space, and how to do things in the client retention space, and how to do things in the team building space, team structure space, that really aren't revolutionary. They're really not new ideas, but there are things that we just have such synonymity with some of our guests like you, that it just kind of helps hearing it from another voice, another perspective, a different twist on some of these things that may not necessarily be new. Well, and some of them may be, like you and I were talking before we went live, about AI, about VAs. Those aren't really new. We've had virtual assistants available to us for a long, long time, but we certainly talk about the evolution of how that has looked. And it's just nice to have guests on the show that share similar perspectives, that have the same ideas, the same mentality, the same motivations, and to hear it in a different way, to talk to somebody in a different voice that has a different grip, a different perspective on some of the synonymous things that we want people to be focusing on and working on, like your VAs. I mean, I think that was a wonderful conversation, although we should probably digress a little bit, give people a little bit of background as to who you are and what you do, so that we know that we're all talking from that perspective of who Jason is and who he's in a position to help.
Yeah, so June will be 23 years as a full-time broker. So I got back in the business in 2003. Prior to that, I was in construction management for a large commercial construction company. So that was my background. Started out as a solo agent with no clients or databases, and built myself a team at a Remax office. Opened my own Remax office, had my own Remax office for 5 years, and then we decided to rebrand and just become independent in 2020. So 2 weeks before everything got shut down from COVID, we opened up Finch and Gable Real Estate and thought, oh gosh, what do we do? But that's, believe it or not, folks, gosh, I look back and it seems like it was just a couple years ago. It's been over 5 years. So we've been a successful independent company. We're more of a team brokerage, and we typically sell around $50 to $60 million of real estate a year, which I mean is, we don't have 100 agents, but for us, it's a respectable amount. And we focus on our team members. We focus on our clients. Well, that's what we tell. We want our clients to have the top level of service possible. And we know if we treat our team members with provide them with the most value, they're going to translate that to the clients. So that's ultimately how we do our business. And like you'd mentioned before, a lot of nothing's new. I've been attending conferences. I'm kind of a conference junkie since 2005 with Howard Britton Star Power, all the way up to now I coach with John Cheplack. I've always had a coach, and I've always had mentors. It's extremely important. So it's awesome that you provide a lot of that here with this show. But, I also have an 18-year-old that knows it all, and dad and mom are stupid, like you said, and he wants to learn sales, but he doesn't want to come work with our company because he doesn't think we know what we're doing. but his older brother works with us. He runs our ISA department, so which is kind of fun to have family members. And I have a brother that's recently joined me as an agent on our team, so a little bit more family in the business. But we've run the gamut from radio, TV, billboards to door knocking, open houses, the whole gamut of marketing. So I'm happy to share what you kind of want to jump into, what you think your listeners, want to hear. Just, feel free to ask any questions you like.
I think it's funny because a lot of the things that we're describing in the modern era for these results in lead gen, in client retention, didn't exist when you and I started doing this. A quarter century ago, we didn't have social media. We didn't have video that we were doing distribution through social media. We didn't have podcasting. We didn't have all of these things, except for those that you're kind of throwing out there. Although I didn't hear bus bench or grocery cart.
I just honestly bought all the grocery carts at the New King Supers in Flying Horse and Colorado Springs, but it's the first time I did that, because shopping carts are more of a branding play, kind of like billboards.
Absolutely.
But so I guess, I haven't ever done the bus bench. I'm not going to say I've never not priced it out and the locations I wanted weren't available, but that's not going to get you a bunch of business. That's more of a branding play. But yeah, I'm not going to say everything. And that's how I always look at my business, is I don't know it all. Been doing this for 23 years, and the longer I'm in it, I think it's sometimes the less I know, especially when it comes to team building in real estate. I never say I've done it all or seen it all, because then I realize I'd just be, wouldn't be growing. I'd be dying. So,
well, I think that that's absolutely true. And I do want to rewind just a little bit, because you had said something about how our team is small and we don't do this enormous amount of volume, although it's respectable for us. And I just want to put out there, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are large companies. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of that has recently done a lot of work. I don't even know if that's, but they've been boasting on the fact that they have the most agents, the very most agents, but the vast majority of them don't do any real estate business. So I'm like, well, anything times zero is still zero. Yeah. So yeah, you can have 1 million real estate agents in your company, but if they're not actually helping people buy and sell homes, then what difference does it make? You may as well just have one.
Yeah, the average real estate agent across the Front Range sells 4 homes per year, and that's
actually a pretty good number in comparison to the rest of the country.
And with our team, we average, depending on the year, anywhere from 25 to 28 plus homes per agent per year. So we really pour into the agents that are willing to do the work. And again, a lot of it's just boring stuff. And a lot of people, not just agents, don't want to do the hard stuff or do the mundane stuff. And it's really simple, but it's not easy to force yourself. It's like going to the gym and working out 5 days a week. You don't want to get up. You don't feel like getting up. And so people just do how they feel. They don't just make themselves get past that feeling and do the action, because if you actually do the action, the result will come. But a lot of people quit before the results even start to show up.
How very Atomic Habits of you.
Well, that's how I roll. I had a pretty large physical transformation in the last 2 years and lost a bunch of weight and got pretty fit. And, I've always tried to stay on top of doing the right things in the business, but I realized I'm the ceiling to my company. So I started working with my coaches on, gosh, you had this amazing physical transformation. If you can just transfer the skills in the gym to eating right, logging your food, hitting your workouts, to are you dialing the right number of people? Are you meeting with your agents? Are you holding them accountable to the daily activities? And are you helping them achieve their goals? And do their goals fit in with your company's goals? Because otherwise they're going to find somewhere else to go. So, it's just a lot of principles and simple basics that aren't very sexy, but when you execute them on a daily and weekly basis, big things happen.
Yeah, that's the exact mindset behind Atomic Habits. And let's not forget, guys, that kind of activity, that kind of repetition, that kind of consistency is what actually builds habits. Then it just becomes second nature. It's just that you automatically do it. So if you can buckle down, for lack of a better term, and do some of this work, some of these tasks, even if you do find them mundane, we know full well that, well, I think when it comes to the actual agents and brokers, one of the biggest problems we see is the roller coaster ride in their results. And I think without equivocation, nobody would deny that that's a direct result of the fact that your efforts, the workload, is a roller coaster ride. If you put in consistent effort, you will get consistent results. Now, a lot of people don't understand that marathon versus sprint, that career versus job kind of mentality has to be part of this, because you've got to understand that those habits that you're forming now by doing the tasks, whether they're mundane or not, over and over and over until it does become repetitive, until it does become habit, until it almost just becomes muscle memory, as it were, are the things that will provide consistent results. But it could be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And a lot of people are short-sighted to the fact that the work we're doing now is foundational work that is going to lay that framework for the kind of results that we do want to have in that time frame. But yeah, it's definitely difficult. This is why 80% fail in the first 2 years, 85 in the first 5 years. This is not for the faint of heart. It's that wonderful Paul Harvey monologue, God Loves a Realtor. I haven't listened to it in quite a while, but you wake up every day unemployed.
Yep.
And you got to go out and you got to hit it. And you got to do the same things every day, day in, day out. And even when you're busy, like we're getting again here now, lack of competition, both loan originators and real estate agents, obviously a major drop in those populations in the last couple of years, an increase in what's going on transactionally, whether that's decreases in rates or a little improvement in inventory, whatever the case may be. It'll be a little different for whatever market you guys are in. But even when you are busy, when you're spring and summer busy, you've got to be focusing on those same activities that generated that you did 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, because if you can stay constant and consistent with that work, your results will be too.
You know, we've coached and trained a lot of new agents, and I'd say that's kind of a rookie mistake we see is we help because we generate a lot of leads, but we teach them to generate leads, and they start generating leads, or we give them a couple leads, and the day-to-day reaching out to calls or clients or emails or pop-bys or whatever starts to drop, and that's when they start riding that roller coaster, and the dips become steeper and the peaks become higher. And they said, well, I'm so busy, I'm working, I've got 3 people under contract, this is hard. Well, yes, but treat your prospecting like you would a closing. Would you ever just not show up to a closing? Well, no. Well, you have to treat your prospecting, whatever that is for you, the same as you would a closing. Because if you no-show prospecting, you're no-showing your future business.
Oh, it's probably more important.
Yep. So 100%, you know, and a lot of people don't realize real estate is a contact sport. And those that joined the business in 2021 through 2023, when people were just dying to get in the marketplace because interest rates were sub 3%. There were 10 offers on each home. They thought it was easy. They like HGTV. I'm going to get into real estate. Teams are handing out leads like candy, Zillow, Flex, you name it. We couldn't handle enough. We had to staff up to like 18 agents, and the phone was just ringing off the hook. That was just a function of the market. So when agents got used to that and the market shifted, we had to part ways with a lot of agents because we went back to the basics and they didn't want to show up. So it's those that have been in the business consistently, like yourself and like I have, and you just have to adjust and stay ahead of the market because your business isn't based on the market. If you don't let it, it's based on your actions and activities. So you don't have to be a victim to the market. And that's what we teach our agents.
You just have to do the work.
Yeah, and it's a contact sport. And you can, we briefly talked about VAs, virtual assistants, and then AI. That can help you, but you still need to make contact with people that want to buy or sell homes in this business. You can't delegate things to everyone else in your company or delegate to AI or delegate to VA. There's certain things you can, but going to coffee with someone, meeting someone for lunch, like showing a house, you can have showing agents, but I mean, at some point, you know, if you're an individual agent, you need to make sure those touch points, you want to delegate all the stuff that doesn't mean as much, but that initial lead generation and then, you know, following through with the actual transaction, those are important touch points. And I see too many agents want to shortcut it and buy some fancy AI because realtors are the easiest people to make a sales on. And they'd rather get their credit card out and spend $300 a month than pick up the phone and make 10 phone calls a day out of 10 phone calls a day.
Constantly chasing the shiny objects. It's amazing.
So anyway, you've heard it all, I'm sure. But yeah, there's nothing new under the moon. There's just slight little twist. You know, we do use AI. We do engage with some companies that use AI through texting and emails and things like that. But we actually have a U.S.-based ISA manager who's my son, and he makes 400 outbound calls a day to people that the AI kind of bubbles to the top, and we have algorithms and certain other software that we use that rank our people in our 32,000 person database. Here's the next 200 people that are most likely to move. And so it really helps us really pinpoint who to call. So we're not just throwing darts at a wall. We actually have a bullseye of, we're going to call people in the bullseye first and work our way out. And so the AI that we've used there has been priceless.
I hope that the audience really is listening to that. We've got some wonderful ideas on how to kind of implement AI, give people a real taste of what it can do for them, particularly when it comes to our coaching clients that are real estate agents. But yeah, that one's brilliant and not that complex. Now, I understand not everybody has contact databases as large as you and I do, but they haven't been doing this with the understanding that it is a contact sport, as you put it. He who has the most friends wins is the way I describe it in a lot of our coursework and some of our class and presentation work, but that it literally is that you need to be in contact with lots and lots and lots and lots of people. So if we could use AI to help us make sure that we're contacting the right people at the right times, then yeah, absolutely brilliant. So hopefully those of you that heard that or are hearing me regurgitate it in a far less eloquent form will hit pause and rewind and go listen to that shit again, because Jason really came up with something absolutely brilliant there. You guys already know what the workload is. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Use AI to help you do it a little better, right? And Jason, I think, and maybe you're seeing this too, that the biggest AI flaw I still see with real estate agents is that they are creating problems for AI to solve. They didn't have these problems. They don't need these problems. They weren't existing problems, but we're creating problems for AI to solve because we don't really understand how to utilize AI in our business, how to get it to help us solve existing problems without creating ones that we don't need, or to help us move things a little smoother, a little faster, like exactly what you guys are talking about. We're going to contact people. We're going to pick up the phone. We're going to do social media. We're going to do video. We're going to have coffee. We're going to have lunch. We're going to go show properties. Let's utilize AI to make that a better environment. So you guys may already be doing this, but two of the prerequisite exercises we make our real estate agent coaching clients do when we're working on the AI modules are to record initial contact conversations. So you got a lead, you referred somebody, whatever the case may be, that very first conversation you're going to have with a prospective buyer or seller, you're going to record it. And then you're going to ask AI to do two very different things for you based on that conversation. One is to help you identify how your follow-up should go. What is this person's personality type? How would they like to be followed up with? Should you call them again? Should you email them? Should you text them? And what should you be saying? And then the other piece of that is to get AI to take your portion of the conversation and help you get better. Where did I suck in this conversation? What kinds of things should I be saying or doing or emphasizing that would make me better as a conversationalist, for lack of a better term, but to make sure that I'm really driving home some points about why you should sell this property, why you should buy a home, why you should do all kinds of different things. Don't get me wrong, this may not be somebody who's ready to buy or sell for years. That's that foundational work that we were talking about. But if we run those two exercises to help us, I don't want to say solve problems that we already have, because we do have them. We just don't know them. We're humans. We are terrible at introspection. We don't like to admit where we suck, but we have to if we're going to get better. So why not use AI to solve those problems rather than generating problems we didn't have, don't need, because we think we need to make AI be doing something. It's really weird. You had mentioned that you guys have used it quite a bit for some listing descriptions, which is fantastic.
Listing descriptions. And back to what you're doing, you can put in, go find that prospect that you, or lead, or whoever you just met with. And maybe you're teaching your clients to do this, but go get their links to all their social media and give that to ChatGPT or whatever platform you're using. And that'll help us. They can determine sometimes personality type, you know, do they want phone calls? Do they just want text? Do they want to have long informational emails, or do they just want brief bullet points? And so make sure you're utilizing, you know, we always say, you know, we don't want to stalk our clients, but we kind of are cyber stalking them in a way to help provide better service for them. So
absolutely,
that's definitely stuff that's out there. ChatGPT and these other models can pull all that in, and really, if you have the right prompts, can do some amazing things. And as you do it more and more, it learns, and it's learning amongst the whole group, which is crazy. But
if we're good at it,
right?
It's still garbage in, garbage out. You got to be giving it good info.
Exactly. There's actually a feature in there where you can search pre-created ChatGPTs that are amazing that other people have created and just copy them. So that's another feature. But yeah, we started out using them for property descriptions to help find out, you know, which homes are selling faster. Like, you know, again, it's the prompt you put in. Rewrite this to match property descriptions of other homes in similar neighborhoods that are selling in less than a week, or things like that. And it does the work for us. And so that way, we teach our virtual assistants that, and that's now one thing our US-based person doesn't have to do. So they've created a process that a virtual assistant that may have a lower skill set can now take that, and we can reproduce it. And AI is just getting smarter and smarter. So you can also do it for virtual staging, but as everyone knows here along the Front Range, you have to be careful with the rules and the MLSs, and, you know, virtual staging, those have to be labeled as virtual staging. Then you have to have an empty picture of that room. And so we don't do as much of that, but that's all doable now for almost next to nothing. And it's taking over these businesses that was their business, was virtual staging. Those businesses are going away. So every week I'm learning about something new that we could do, but it's like your entrepreneur that has 99 ideas a day. There's usually, you know, one or two good ones and a bunch of distractions in the middle. So don't chase the shiny new squirrel. Focus on what you need to do, like Adam said, the basics, but how can AI help you be more efficient? And I would say also, automations are not AI, but automate as much of your business as you can through like Zapier, where everything's talking to each other. If you have different softwares, what are things that you can automate first and then engage with AI? So that's important. There's a little difference, and a lot of people think automations like Zapier, when they're, you know, different things are AI. It's not. They're just completing simple tasks, where AI is actually a learning model, and it's learning and growing and doing things at a rapid pace.
So I do think that you hit the nail on the head with that. I think that when it comes to whatever it is you guys want to do, when it comes to your lead gen, your client retention, some people love doing events, client appreciation events, for example. Some people love the social media. Whatever it is, you don't need to do it all. But you do need to have enough systemization and automation that you're not really doing it. I mean, really good social media marketing work is a job. It's a career. That's not your job or career. You're a real estate agent.
Right.
First and foremost, a mortgage originator, first and foremost. So you've got to have as much of that in place as you can without equivocation. But I do think that it's very different. And this kind of made me think, and as far as Finch and Gable goes, you guys probably did this near the inception of AI, although I still come across a lot of salespeople. You know, we're all direct-to-consumer salespeople. Large ticket items is what it is. But nonetheless, how many people have still failed to use AI to build the perfect client avatar? So easy. Tell your AI, and I don't care what you use. I know ChatGPT is obviously very, very popular. I'm a Gemini user, but tell it enough about you and your business to have it. Well, you got to be doing that all the time. You've got to be telling your AI about you. The only way you're going to get good results, people. But you've got to be using it to build that perfect client avatar. And if you're really learning how to teach it about you, about your business, then that's not going to be a difficult task. I think really the reason we make our clients do it is so that they can learn about what kind of content they need to be giving to AI, more so than the actual result of AI building the perfect client avatar. But use it for that. If you guys aren't really doing anything in AI, or maybe you're one of these people that I see that are creating problems for AI to solve when you don't really need the problems to begin with, then start there. Build that let it build your perfect client avatar, because that will give you a really good taste of what kind of content you need to be constantly feeding into your AI to get the kind of results that you want.
Yeah, speaking of social media, we do a lot of that. We've stepped that up over the last several years, and I'm posting 3 times minimum a week with me. And then I have VAs that do graphic posts. So we're posting at least once a day on, we're ridiculous. We're on every platform. I think we're even on Pinterest, and I don't think we're on Snapchat, but we're literally on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, now X, and Pinterest. And so we're just putting everything out there because people look in different formats.
YouTube, Threads.
Yep, exactly. And so we have a VA that all he does is video edit. And I found someone for $20 an hour to shoot content. And 1 day a week for 2 to 3 hours, I shoot 5 or 6 videos. We send it off to our VA. We pay him $5 or $6 an hour, and he creates these really nice videos. And then I send, people think I'm crazy because they're worried that they're emailing their clients too much. I send 3 emails a week to my database. 3 emails a week.
That's a lot.
Our open rate, do you want to take a guess what our open rates are?
50%.
60 to 70% in the last 3 months.
Killer.
So we filter out people that haven't opened an email after 6 months, so our deliverability doesn't go down. But out of 32,000, we have an active group of about 3,500 to 4,000 people that 60 to 70% are opening all of our emails 3 times a week. And so my coach is pushing me to do 1 a day. And I'm like,
3 times a week.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yep, 3 emails. And it's all about what the value of the content. On Monday, we provide a graphic of what the real estate market's doing, or it's a graphic of upcoming events for the area along the Front Range. Wednesday, we feature a luxury tip about, or tips about luxury real estate, or we feature like an insane, like expensive home in Aspen or Telluride or sometimes in LA, just for fun, because a lot of people just want to see how the rich and famous live. And so that's usually a big one. And then on Fridays, we just do a general real estate topic, or again, kind of a video about what's going on in the community, or feature a local business. And it's really simple. And we use ChatGPT, or you can use Gemini, to help you create. You know, I'm pretty good at doing video without creating a bunch of scripts, but I use that. If you start using ChatGPT or Gemini as your, instead of Google search, it's going to help you find a lot more content. And it helps you decide, you know, what does the marketplace want after it learns about your business and your consumer. So sometimes they'll say, hey, I need to come up with 3 luxury real estate topics, and, you know, based on our previous threads, things we haven't covered, what's coming up, what are you seeing in articles across the United States that are going to be the next big thing in luxury. And it literally spits out all these ideas, and then I can say create a script, and it'll actually create recommendations for intros and outros and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're using AI for that, but that doesn't cost us anything other than a little bit of my time. $20 an hour for someone stateside to capture my video, and $6 an hour for our VA, and he posts all of our social media as well at $6 an hour. So it's really cool.
Okay, so, and I think ours is fairly similar, although I don't have somebody come in and do the actual videography. I just put the camera on, run it, chroma key, monitor, wireless audio, etc. I've written the script, in some cases minutes before I record.
Yeah, I've done that.
And then I ship the script, the raw video, some other assets, music, graphics, copy off to the VA. She's in Manila. Nod to Jules. Hey, Jules. Although it's 11 at night there, so hopefully she's sleeping and not watching. And yeah, and it was funny because I like the video editing. I do. I enjoy it. And we do a lot of pop culture. You and I talked about that. I like a lot of the pop culture in our video work. And I was probably spending, so many years ago now, 2 or 3 hours every Saturday morning editing my own video, which was fun for me. But I think Jules is doing it for like $20 or $25. So literally, I'm buying back hours of my life every week for that $20 or $25. And she's doing it great. And there was
Yeah.
a bit of a learning curve. We talked about the cultural differences between what goes on in the Philippines and what goes on in the States. But yeah, after that, it was absolutely phenomenal. But I do want to talk about one other thing. I know we're going to run over, but we did with you last time, and it's not a surprise. This email marketing stuff. Okay. Now, for those of you that are able to read between the lines and pick up the subtext here with Jason, that was amazing. Email marketing, right? What's once was old is new again. And we see a lot of great email platforms. Kudos to Homebot. Their open rate and click-through rate are insane. If you guys aren't using it, check them out. But it's about Jason's constancy and consistency. I promise you it took him some time to ramp up to the numbers that he's experiencing right now. But if he is willing to do those 3 emails every week for his entire database, well, for whatever segment of the database that content would be relevant to, then his audience eventually starts to expect it. That builds that momentum. But the constancy and consistency, the little habits, the atomic habits that eventually build into this great big snowball of success are what's really important here. If you guys can't handle doing 3 emails a week, don't. Do 1.
I started with 2 a month. I started with 2 a month. My open rates were 15%.
But as we get constant and consistent over and over and over habitually, then yeah, I think that's really a big deal. So hopefully you guys are picking up what Jason's putting down there. And Jason, there was another piece of this that you said that really struck a chord with me, because we talk about it quite a bit in all of our work, that you are e-stalking your clients.
Pretty much.
But you're not. You're really not. Prior to all of this everything, whether it was social media or otherwise, the really great salespeople, the really great real estate agents were listeners. We listened to people. We heard their pain points. We did what we could to solve them. That was the job, not constantly talking. The best, I mean, we all talk. We're salespeople. We're type A. This is how we roll. But the really good ones know how to listen. Now, it's just that the technology has evolved. So now we have to learn how to go read. We have to go watch. We have to go look. But it's no different in that sense than it was really learning about people, seeing what they're into, what they're like, what their pain points are, and how do we solve them. So you're really not. You've just evolved. The way that the entire world has evolved, and particularly the technology has evolved, and you're just doing the exact same thing in a more efficient, more technological, more systemized, more automated way of really putting yourself in a position to really help these people. Yep. So yeah, for all of you, and God, I remember before all of this technology existed, we were working with real estate agents. We had so many that were afraid to really talk about what they do. You know, I don't talk about being a real estate agent at my, sewing circle, my Tupperware parties, my bowling league. And the mentality in my mind is, wow, you went through all this work, all this education to get a real estate license. You got to keep going through the continuing education, and you're actually denying your closest people that knowledge. Shame on you.
Right.
You're cheating all your friends and family out of all this that you've learned.
And it really sucks too if you have a golfing buddy or someone in your sewing group or whatever group, you find out they listed their home with someone else. Well, shame on you for not.
That's totally your fault. Yeah.
For not sending them emails, and but it hurts, So a lot of people say, well, I didn't want to bother my friends with those emails. Why? If they don't want, they'll unsubscribe.
Yeah, but you have this working knowledge that you earned. You have a license that you had to learn and be examined in order to get, and you're denying them that knowledge. Shame on you, people. Yeah, shame on you.
Contact sport.
You got a contact sport. All right, Jason, this has been another fantastic episode. There's so many things you and I could talk about. Let's do this again.
Okay.
We're not quite as far booked out as you're used to, but it is going to be in 2026. And we'll certainly get that on the calendar in the not too distant future. But Yeah, it's always great chatting with you, and certainly when you and I are able to have a conversation, it's going to be of greater benefit to a larger audience like this. I absolutely love doing.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to reach out, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, True Finching Gable, or Jason Daniels, My Ugly Mug. I'm on there. Feel free to send me a DM. I'm willing to help people, point you in a direction if you have any questions on anything we talked about. And if, I'm still actively selling real estate. So my main office is in Colorado Springs. So if you don't work Colorado Springs area and you have people moving down here, we love referrals and we love to pay referral fees. So I thank you again for having me on. And as always, it was a pleasure. And if there's anything else I can do for you or anyone in your audience, please reach out.
Hey, I love that. I think it's important for you guys to understand right there with Jason's monologue there, he's not hiding. He's not hiding. I had a similar episode actually at a realtor board meeting. I won't go into details about who was trying to solicit me what, but she asked me for a business card and I said, I don't have one. Well, she asked, well, how do I find you? I said, Google Adam Smith in Denver. I'm not hiding.
Right.
I'm not hiding. If you're out there and you're in a sales gig and you're hiding, we got to go back to marketing 101. That's a real problem. I promise you guys look up Jason Daniels in Colorado, you're going to find him.
I'm not a secret agent. I pop up on every platform, I promise you.
There you go. All right. For the rest of you listening or watching live or in syndication, thank you for checking us out. You can catch new episodes of How I Met Your Mortgage, brought to you by Just the Tips Coaching on Mondays at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. A mere 48 hours later, the podcast is up on Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. And for all kinds of other things, our weekly little tip, the blog, the copies of my books, information about our annual conference, check out justthetipscoaching.com. And I'm not going to bore you guys with the rest because if you really want to know, you can go to the website and check it out. Jason, thank you again. Love having you on the show. We will do this again. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday morning is a challenge. So thank you for doing it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, everybody. Now go make contact. Don't be a secret agent.
Absolutely. Make contact. Don't be a secret agent. This is amazing stuff. And for the rest of you, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in and have a good one.